Hello, and welcome to the video. Today, we will be talking about my favorite ninjutsu for attackers, which is the Great Summoning Snake. The Great Summoning Snake has a cooldown of 10 seconds, has a power of 3 and a range of 1. Now, the way you use it is you hold it in your hands, if you want to hold the ninjutsu button, and you can place it down only on the ground, and it will stay stationary there until something comes in close contact within it, and it does a spinning attack and attacks the enemy within its small circle. And if you hit someone directly with it when summoning, it will go ahead and it doesn't paralyze like the description says, but it will knock them up and prevent the use of their ninjutsus for a brief temporary moment. Without further ado, we will now show you some gameplay and some uses of it. Before I do show you, I want to say that the snake is extremely good for base battles and is extremely good for flag battles, and sometimes combat as well. Here is a close-up of the dash. Because the dash is the most important part, being right at their feet is exactly where you need to be in order to land that last hit, otherwise it does not actually happen. Additionally, it does break guards instantly, so it is quite useful in such a situation if the time comes. Because it roughly lasts 10 seconds on the battlefield, your cooldown will not be active until it is dead or until after those 10 seconds have passed. Now into the actual gameplay. So I did want to say that, for whatever weapon you're going to use, you should obviously know the combo for it and, how it's going to end, which one's actually stun, which one's actually going to just knock them completely down on the floor, give them a recovery, etc. All of this stuff. There's lots of YouTubers for that. Like for example, in this situation, I knew that it wasn't going to hit, but that was on purpose so I could try and push him into it, but because of the tornadoes, unfortunately I wasn't able to. So it is unfortunate, but it is what it is, and the rest of the gameplay kind of follows in the footsteps of what I wanted to do anyway in the first place. Something a lot of people don't do is actually place down a ninjutsu even if you know they've substituted, because sometimes a ninjutsu can help you kind of recover and defend you. In this situation, I'm kind of defended against projectile attacks, and in general, it protects me against certain moves that an enemy might make and save me in the process. And for some reason the snake forces people to do some dumb decisions or still hang around it thinking that it's pointless. So I don't know why that is, but it's a psychological thing as well, I guess. So as I said, it has to be at close range. However, if you do it from a long range, it will be most likely to push them towards you rather than to push them away from you, just as you saw there. And obviously, if they do a dumb mistake, you can completely punish it. Because the snake counts as an enemy, it actually has, a hitbox, and so any sort of passive tracking ninjutsu will actually lock onto it and possibly even allow you to go ahead and force a ninjutsu to be wasted. So far, most of the beginner ninjutsus that we've come across are kind of more or less just pure damage. So eventually, once we come to something that isn't pure damage, that is where its usefulness kind of shows a bit more. But for now, just as this is, it breaks guard, does damage, and seals their ninjutsus temporarily. So it's a slight advantage while also being a tactical advantage around areas and, places that you need to defend. Or place it on someone you need to attack. And to prove my point about pushing someone with a kunai into the snake, there it is. Additionally, enemies might get confused by locking onto you or the snake, so it kind of gives you a slight advantage. Obviously in this situation, he was aiming at me, but I dodged it. Sometimes placing it down as fast as you can is better than positioning it, so it's a 50-50. It may feel difficult at first trying to use it, however, the more and more you understand it, and the more and more you use it, the better it gets, and essentially the more you combine it with your combos, the better it is for you. Obviously it doesn't have much health, however, because of its quick use, you can kind of go ahead and take over a base and make it an annoyance, a nuisance to deal with. So it makes, fighting off Sand Shield and Water Pillar a bit easier. Even if they are still protected against the snake, it does force it to where they have to deal with it by the end of their ninjutsu. So It's a unique ninjutsu. It's my favorite. But yeah, peace out, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.